What is Financial Literacy Awareness Month? And wait, isn't the whole point of brokish that being financially literate doesn't matter because the system is rigged? So, how do I use being financially literate to my advantage while still working to undo all of this broken ish? Well, I'm so glad you asked because we are talking about it after the break.
Brokers, welcome to another episode of Brokers, where we talk about the unbelievable ish this country has done to keep us broke. Now, here are your hosts, Amber and Erica.
Hello, brokers. I'm Amber.
And I'm Erica.
And today on Brokish, we are talking about Financial Literacy Awareness Month. And I would just like to say this was Erica's idea.
To be fair, this was not Erica's idea. So first of all, it's funny because I was talking to one of my friends and he was like, y'all have never talked about financial literacy? And I'm like, no, we haven't. But so Kim Brown, shout out to Kim Brown from Burn It Down with Kim Brown. She sent an email to me because she knows I'm interested in financial literacy that she got from her bank. And it was kind of like an FYI, this is what my bank sent me. And I was like, that's true. We ain't talked about financial literacy. Amber, let's talk about financial literacy. So this is not my idea, really. This is from friends and supporters of Brokish who said we should talk about financial literacy.
It's giving Black bourgeoisie, but go ahead, sis. Go ahead. Blame it on other people.
Anyway, Amber, just as we're coming on to record this, I just learned that OJ died.
Girl, no.
Did you hear OJ died, child?
I did not. Really?
So, what your family, were y'all like the Black people who were on the side of OJ should get set free because of all the other Black people who have been unfairly incarcerated? Or were they like, OJ ass should have been in jail from the first time?
Oh no, my family was definitely team OJ. My family was definitely, we think that nigga killed that lady, but we team OJ anyway. Yes.
And you know what? Honestly, I would have to ask my mother. I can't even remember what her position was on it. You know, I just remember, of course, watching the low speed chase. I mean, and just watching the trial unfold. Like there was just so much drama. And I mean, at the end of the day, I absolutely think OJ did that shit. Like,
of course, 100%.
Totally think OJ did that shit. So I'm not like here to be like, oh, let's take a second of, silence in support of OJ. I just thought that was interesting. So I would just bring that up because somebody just sent me the message like, OJ dead, girl.
No, I didn't have no idea, child. And I will say that OJ's behavior after the trial makes me wonder about how my parents felt about it in retrospect, because I think they were very much of the mindset that this man was being punished for being a successful Black man who left his Black wife and married a white woman that the people didn't really think he had no business being with. And it's so interesting because I was very young. I was in third grade.
Oh, and is this a humble brag?
No.
I was very young. I was toddling.
Shut up. But I remember the OJ trial because that was right around the time my mama had got laid off. So I remember she was very into it because she was not working at the time. And so I just remember it being a big part of our discourse because she was always up to date with what was happening with OJ because she was living her best life on the couch for a few months before she went back to work.
Well, good for your mama. And I was about to say good for OJ. But that's, I don't know. Anyway, there's no love lost. I think OJ did it for sure.
100%. 100%.
But again, I get the perspective of people who are like, so many Black people are languishing in prisons who don't deserve to be there. And, so
and as a lawyer,
OJ getting off.
I will tell you, my feelings are never hurt when somebody who is actually guilty is found not guilty, because that means the system works. Because the question is not a factual question of whether you did it. It's whether the state can meet its burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt by admissible, credible evidence that the person is guilty of the offense as charged. So when guilty people go free, the system is working the way it should. So I never lose any sleep over guilty people going free. what I lose sleep over is innocent people being incarcerated.
which is what we have to fight against so much.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, but yeah, today, girl, we're gonna talk about financial literacy. So, Amber, this is gonna be so in school, I do a lot of work on financial literacy. I need to do a lot more because there's so much I don't know yet, so much I don't know still. But anyway, so this show might be a lot of me talking or asking you questions. Okay, are you
Yes,
open
and
for it?
I am, and I want to tell the brokers the same thing I told Erica. So when she told me about this, I said, I want to let you know where I am on this. When I took my contracts exam in law school, the way I could tell the difference between a debtor and a creditor was I had to say the Lord's Prayer. And so that's where I am with financial literacy. Okay. So I just want to let y'all know that I am learning right along with you. Okay. Just give you some idea of where I'm at on the spectrum.
Amber over here telling y'all she's been saved her whole life, okay? But her whole life she's been going to the Lord in prayer and to the Lord's Prayer. Okay, that's what she's over here trying to say. She's young and she loves the Lord. That's what Amber's telling us today on Brokish. I love it. I love it. I'm old and I love the Lord. It's all good, Amber. It's fine.
Allegedly.
God knows my heart. You see that? God knows my heart. Amber, that's not what we're here for. Focus.
Okay, I'm focused. I'm focused.
We're here to
Okay?
talk about a topic that you can't escape if you go to
Yes.
YouTube, if you listen to podcasts, if God forbid you watch stuff like The Breakfast Club. Like, this is a topic that you cannot escape: financial literacy. So the first thing is,
100%.
Amber, how do you define financial literacy?
Being able to conduct your financial affairs with a basic understanding of how the US financial system works. I guess if you ask me, that's what I would say it was.
Okay. And that's a perfect, great definition, because the thing about financial literacy, and then I'll also say financial education, which oftentimes, and I do this myself, but I shouldn't, are oftentimes used interchangeably, but mean different things,
Hmm.
right? So literacy should be sort of like the measurement of, and so your ability to be able to do that. Financial education is what builds your literacy, right? But
Got
in
it.
any case, the problem with financial literacy is that there is no standard definition, right? There are as many definitions as people like you who have thoughts about what financial literacy is. And that's one of the things that makes it so hard. That's what makes it so nebulous, is that financial literacy can be whatever. I think colloquially, a lot of people are like, financial literacy is like, can you manage your money? Right. I think that's what a lot of people are say. And that seems like a fair definition too, right? Can you manage your money, like you said, given this complex background that we have to deal with? Because everything around us is financialized, right?
Yeah.
So today on your phone, when you pick up your phone, can you pay with your phone? You have credit cards, you have all of these apps, you have all of these different systems that are working together. And from the time you come here until you like OJ, there are all these connected financial systems that are in many ways running our lives. And
Right.
it's very sad. But let's start with a bit of a story time, a bit of
Okay.
history. Okay. So, my favorite president, Barack Obama. I'm sorry. I couldn't
Go
even
ahead
get
and
it out.
confess. I want this to be cathartic for you. Confess. Tell us how you really feel.
First
Tell
of
us.
all,
Because
I'm gonna tell you something unrelated. So my family, my children really often get mad at me because I don't do favorites. So if you ask me like, what's my favorite color? It depends on the day. What's my favorite meal? It depends on what I'm in the mood for, right? I don't do favorites. I don't do favorites, but for Aretha, because Aretha is my favorite. Okay. So anyway, I don't do favorites. So I damn sure don't have a favorite president. But if I did, guess who wouldn't be my favorite president? Barack Obama's black ass. Anyway, so Barack Obama is the one who in 2011 declared April as Financial Literacy Month, National Financial Literacy Month. So we can go back to our dear President Obama for the reason that you might be like Kim Brown and got some emails from your banking institution, from your financial institution, telling you about that. They might have offered you some classes. These are all things happening in April because in 2011, Barack Obama declared. So now, in his declaration, this is what Barack Obama said. He said, while our government is taking decisive action to promote financial stability, our nation's prosperity will ultimately depend on our willingness as individuals to empower ourselves and our families with financial knowledge. Amber, what you think about your favorite president's statement? What you think about that?
My favorite president is the racist known as Lyndon Baines Johnson. But anyway, I actually find it so ironic that just chronology wise, we declare Financial Literacy Month during the height of a recession and like the housing crash. So this idea that all of a sudden people need to, after we've, let folks be predatory and, buy houses without checking their credit. Yes. Now, all of a sudden, the everyday American, this is a perfect time for them to become financially literate. So I don't know. It's just that the timing of it leaves a little nasty taste in my mouth. And it feels like a bait and switch.
I'm so glad. You must have. Did you actually read the script today, Amber? Because I feel like you might have. Like this is.
Now y'all see, that's the shit I'll be talking about. That's the shit I'll be talking about right there. That's why I can't stop cussing. Okay, but anyway, yes, I read the script.
Okay. But I'm gonna actually be fair on Obama in this case because, to be fair, he declared April as National Financial Literacy Month. But he was not the impetus for, I think, a lot of the things that we see related to financial literacy. For that, we just have to go not that much farther back, but just a little bit farther back to George W. Bush. Oh. So we are now in this era, right, where there is this uber focus on financial literacy. You see it with your kids. Again, you see it at work. If you bank at a place like a credit union, like they love that kind of stuff, right? Financial education is great. And these neoliberal tactics go back for decades. But 2008, there was a pivot. And so let's talk about it. So in 2008, like you were alluding to, we were in like the beginning of the housing and financial crisis, right? That happened here and then reverberated around the world. Mm-hmm. And so George W. Bush pulled together what they call the President's Advisory Council on Financial Literacy. Okay. And the goal of the council was, in their words, to improve financial literacy among all Americans. So that was the goal of the council. In 2008, they're like, we want to improve financial literacy. And the council went so far as to be like, you know what? A lot of the turmoil in the U.S. financial markets had to do with like some macroeconomic things, but ignore all of that. We're basically saying to you, we're coming to you as a counselor telling you that a lot of the reason for the economic downturn was because you don't know how to manage y'all's money, right? Y'all don't know how to do the things that Amber said y'all need to know how to do. And basically the council was like, essentially y'all are like ill prepared to handle the challenges that inevitably come with life. Like, don't y'all know that as a citizen of the United States, that we're going to have recessions and we're going to have other things. But see, y'all don't know how to deal with those other things. And so because of that, we got to give y'all more financial literacy.
Sounds about right.
That's like, this not me making it up. You can go online. It's PACFL 2008. I'll put in the receipts. President's Advisory Council on Financial Literacy. And they told y'all, you bastards do not know how to manage your money. And as a result, the market crashed. Okay.
That's all right.
I love that. I love that they are like, no. Our hands are clean here. It's for y'all. So they said, we've got to combat this illiteracy problem that we have. And the way that we're going to do that is the council is going to put some stuff into play. So this is what the council did. The council And these efforts, again, were already underway in the 90s, but they like stepped it up. So they said in these schools, we got to get financial literacy curriculum in this K through 12 education. These children going to school. These children don't know what to do with their money that they don't have, but we got to teach them. So we're going to put it in all the curriculum. But then they had other people a part of the council. They had employers. And they were like, y'all need to let these people know when y'all hiring these people that they need to better manage their money. So y'all need to get on that, people from private industry. Then they had the academics, and they said, y'all got to get in here and y'all got to do research that supports the fact that people need more financial literacy to better manage their lives. So y'all come in here and do that research so that we can publish that. So just to give you an idea of a few of the people who were actually on this initial council, John Hope Bryant. If anybody knows John Hope Bryant, the actual Charles Schwab. So like if y'all have a Schwab bank account, so the actual human known as Charles Schwab was a part of this council. There was like the former then CEO of Navy Federal Credit Union, right? So they bring in all the, and like I said, academics, politicians, they bring in all the people together. And so, and I'll go back to another person that was affiliated with the council that nemesis is the wrong word. But anyway, we'll get back to that.
Ooh.
So like I said, if you have children, what you'll now see is that usually starting in elementary school, there are some pieces of whatever the state standards are that include financial literacy. The problem, Amber, that I have is this. Most of the financial literacy that I see being taught is stuff like how to save, how to budget, how to do some of those basic things. But what they're not telling children or what they're not acknowledging is that there are macroeconomic things that happen, right? So we're sending our kids to school and we are indoctrinating them into this belief that if you just spend less than you make, you're going to be fine, with no acknowledgement of the fact how all of these global economic and other factors weigh in on you as a person. So first of all, I'm just ask, because you're so much younger than I am. Did you receive any financial education when you were in school?
Yes. I still remember being in math class in like third and fourth grade and having the big blown up check where we learned how to write checks, who to put in the pay to the order of, and how to fill out a check. I still remember a test about that because I didn't use a pencil eraser until I was like in fifth grade, I think. Whenever I messed up on my work, I wanted to start all over because I wanted it to be perfect. So I still remember wanting another check because I made a mistake when you had to write out the amount. And my teacher wouldn't give me one because she only had one left. And I just remember thinking like, I'm going to have to erase on my paper and my check is going to be sloppy. But yes, I do remember that. But I feel like I grew up maybe a little different than everybody because I had a father who was magnificently obsessed with budgeting. Like I remember waking up on Saturday morning and my dad would be at the table writing out what he was going to do with his money if he won the lottery. So he would start with like how much the taxes they were going to take out, what he was going to do with it. So my dad taught me how to make a budget, all of that. And my dad was his favorite mantra was, I don't care how much you earn. If you spend more than you make, you will always be broke. And my dad used to say it to us all the time. So I grew up in a very money conscious home. And I am very much the same way. I still keep a budget on a legal pad. I write out everything. So yeah, I definitely got it in school, but I got it at home the most, you know.
And the interesting part about in all of this, I always hate that I get myself into this trouble because people are like, Erica don't like nothing. She don't even like financial education. She don't like financial literacy. Like, relax, right? Like, do I understand the value of a budget? Yes, I understand the value of the budget. Like, duh. Does all of that stuff matter? Does it matter to save and invest and plan for your retirement and try to figure out how you're going to help your kids? Yes, all of that stuff matters. Like, don't get me wrong. So let me just put that out there. I hate everything, but I don't hate financial literacy. What I do hate is, again, we don't acknowledge, for example, when we tell people spend less than you make, we don't tell them that wages have not increased, but the rents
Right.
have, right? We
Right.
don't tell them that it is organizations' job to pay you less than the market rate, to pay you less than the other people who are showing up. We don't tell people about all of the other forces that are at play that are there to keep them from doing the best at optimizing whatever money they have. And so I just think it is so harmful, it's toxic, this culture that we create around financial literacy, because it really places the blame all at the individual level. It's like
Yes.
people just walk around in a vacuum and none of the shit around us matters.
And we also have, particularly within the Black community, we have a habit of getting advice from very unqualified sources. I was sitting in church a couple weeks ago, and of course, right before the offering, shocker, they read this declaration about how God wants us to prosper in our businesses and our contracts. And then the pastor stands up and goes on this tirade about being debt free and how, we need to all be debt free. And I'm thinking to myself, some of the wealthiest people I know, they're all in debt. Like they're all in debt. And so we tell people these things and we create aspirations for them. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wealth is not the absence of debt. Wealth is having assets that are worth more than you owe on them. But for most people, the safest strategy to accumulate wealth is to try to do it by using other people's money, which is debt. And so for a lot of people, they concentrate on these strategies given to them by folks who are unqualified, who have no experience with money. And then when those things don't work, they feel like a failure and they attach a whole lot of shame around their financial identity. And so that shuts down their openness to becoming financially literate because they feel like they're failing. Oh, I'm in debt. Oh, I'm in debt. Most people who have money are in debt. They just don't owe more than they have in assets.
Well, that's the part that the moral failing piece of this is also not accidental, right? So,
Of course.
yeah, the fact that we try to tie people's value, their morality, their measures of success to their ability to be able to maneuver is all a part of the scam. That's all a part of the con, right? And so we have to. And the fact that we oftentimes use the church to do that is another nefarious part about this thing. But I'm not going to talk about the church today, Amber. I'm going to try not to. I'm not going to say nothing about the church and them getting people in financial peace classes with Dave Ramsey and how all of that is predatory. I'm not going to talk about that today because I'm here to talk about financial literacy.
Amen. We'll
Just
talk.
in
We'll talk
general.
about that another time.
I'm not going to talk about that. But ultimately, you have the council. They're doing all these things. They're sending everybody off on their different jobs that they have to do, right? So academics, you do this, educators, you do this, employers, private industry, y'all go out and do this. As lawmakers, we're going to go out and do our thing. And the bait and switch, the neoliberal bait and switch, like you talked about, is all about we are going to shift this risk and responsibility, right, from the government where it rightly belongs to protect its citizens from financial calamity, from these very big issues that are happening. And we're going to move that on to the individual and go forth and prosper. Go with God. Go with God and
100%.
financial literacy. So that's what they wanted y'all to do. So that's kind of some of the history. So Obama was just taking the baton from George W. Bush, which
I mean, I was about to say, are you defending him, or I mean, taking the baton from George W. Bush? Just, I don't know.
in a lot of ways,
ways.
and that's why, side note, electoral politics at the national level, when you're talking about president, gets to be very silly because it's just a lot of people carrying on batons. Because 100% Biden, I'm sure, I haven't even looked, but I'm guessing still has a council and is still very much interested in these same messages that his former boss was peddling back then, right? So anyway, so where we are today, in my mind, is that we have a lot of people who are, instead of getting messages maybe from their father like you did or other people, what do? We go to the internet. right? So we get a lot of messages about financial literacy from the internet. And again, podcasts, YouTube, everything. And oh, Amber, it's just so hard to control the quality. It's just so hard to control the quality.
Girl, don't even get me started. And then you have also the fraudulent among us. So it's not even misinformation, it's disinformation. I saw a video the other day circulating in my Facebook orbit. Somebody was talking about being a millionaire, and it was very clear he was not a millionaire.
Why are you
just
pocket
because,
watching? How you know?
girl, first of all, the stuff that he was saying was not true. It was not true. If you are a millionaire, okay, and I'm talking about what I know. Now, I'm not talking about millions. You could be a millionaire on Wednesday, and on Friday, if the market take a wrong turn, you ain't a millionaire. That don't mean you got $1 million in the bank. And then you walking around here talking about telling people stuff to do, putting money in LLCs. And I'm like, well, what is you talking about? What you're saying is just does not even, it's just not factual. It's not factual. Talking about how you can have financial freedom as a single millionaire. I don't know nobody who is a single millionaire who is financially free.
Not in 2024.
Not in 2024. Exactly. And I'm like, boy, you out here lying to people. You out here capping. You is lying. Okay? Because if I quit my job today, it's going to be a problem in these streets. Period. I got to go to work.
But here's the thing. Because the financial landscape of this country and around the world, but here for sure, is so complicated. And because it's so purposely opaque, that's why you have people like that who are able to go onto the internet, go onto all these different platforms. All you need, these people just like us, just getting the microphone, saying anything, Amber, just anybody doing it.
Nah, so all you need is one mic. That's true. All you need is one mic.
And getting out here saying anything. And that's what makes it so hard. But so I'll give you an example. I was recently, let me change names to protect the innocent and all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was recently at a financial literacy seminar. Okay. And in the financial literacy seminar, there was an expert there who was talking about different things about financial literacy. So some people in the class were like, asking about life insurance. And so, do I want whole life insurance, term life insurance? What do I do with life insurance? And some people asking about 401ks, and I stopped the job and, can I move it over? How does that work? And all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I did appreciate about this financial professional is that he was quite open about the fact that he says, well, I used to work in insurance, so I know a ton about insurance, and I think you should do these things, right? But then when asked about something else, like let's say it was a 529, he's like, I don't work in 529s. I don't know a lot about them, so I'll tell you what I do know. This is somebody who had spent at least the past decade building plans, financial plans with people, right? And if this person who spends their whole day going through all of these things, and they're like, I know a lot about this area, I know a little bit less about this, I really don't know anything about this, but our government expects me and you to know enough about all the things to be able to successfully navigate. And that's the part, to me, that's why I want to do the work, is because I hurt for people who have so much shame and place so much blame on themselves because they can't do that. But the shit is complicated on purpose, right?
Yes.
Like the difficulty is the point.
Yes.
And they don't want us to be able to know. And that's why systems are so complex. Just taxes, for example, like many people point out, they know how much you made. Like for most people, for 90% of people, they know exactly what you made, and they know how much you've already paid them. They could just send you a bill for the difference or send you a check for the difference at the end of the year, right? Like they could do that. We could have a very simple tax system. But you have these very powerful lobbies from people like Intuit who go to Congress and are like, simplicity, who wants that? Like, let's keep this shit real complicated so we can keep making billions of dollars. That's why I don't want to rest, Amber, until people are like, the fact that Black people are broke is not because Black people did anything, and Black people are not going to financially educate themselves out of the brokenness because they do this shit on purpose.
Yeah. And another thing I've realized too is that they are invested in making people feel like when they have questions, they are asking questions that they should already know the answer to.
For sure.
And I realize that, like, in a lot of different places, but particularly in the context of finances, because for me, a lot of the veil is lifted about the shame, because at the end of the day, I could be like, well, I'm a lawyer. So I ask, and I will go to the financial planner and I'll be like, I need you to talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old. They don't treat me like I'm stupid. They treat me like I'm actually smart, because I am requiring them to break it down. But that is a function of what has happened over time as I've gotten higher in my career and higher in what I've accumulated. But when I behaved like that at the beginning, when I didn't have as much, it was an indictment, not an indicator of my intellect. And so I think for a lot of people, when they do ask questions, they get treated with contempt because the system wants to shame them out of knowing. Because I was at the bank a few days ago and he kept trying to move on. I was like, I'm sorry, but I need to circle back to that because I don't understand. And I was not going to move on until I understood. But I know that is a very new thing that's maybe for like the last 5 years, because there would have been a point in time, maybe after he said it the second time, that I would have assumed there was something wrong with me and I don't need to ask again or he's going to think I'm stupid. And I would have stopped.
And the thing is that a lot of people, of course, we talk about this all the time. People don't have the time to keep going back and forth with somebody, right? So you either like give into whatever they say, or you like go away defeated. I don't know what I'm going to do, right? Because you don't want to feel like an idiot, but you like, I don't have a lot of free time to try to figure this stuff out. And it's like, the world expects you to get really a full-time job, but at least a part-time job trying to figure all the stuff out. Like if you think about the complexity of I'm buying my first home, or even if it's not my first home, I'm just freaking buying a house. That like what you have to know to do that, what you have to know to be able to prepare your kids to go to college in terms of FAFSA and financial aid and all the like what you have to know to do that with 401ks. Like if I leave a job, can I move the money? Because some people are like, I can't. What are the limits? What do I need to do? Like all these very niche areas where you have to know all of this stuff. And it's so overwhelming. And I get why people are like, just F it. You know what? Just F it to hell. Damn it to hell. But you talked about misinformation versus disinformation. And I did want to lean into that a little bit. So I am doing some research with a collaborator, and he and I fight a lot about the definitions of misinformation, disinformation, and what people mean. So my understanding that misinformation is, it's not necessarily on purpose, right? Like I didn't intend to share some information that was wrong, but I did. Correct. Disinformation is when my intent is nefarious, right? And I am doing this because I want to get some outcome. So I'm giving you bad information because I want a good outcome for myself.
Right.
So can we take a minute to go to the Breakfast Club? Let's just go to the Breakfast Club for a minute. Okay. So I am not a consumer of Breakfast Club content, but for, you know, when the stuff be on the timeline, right? When the stuff is on the timeline, it's a part of the popular discourse and then you got to watch the clips, right? Have to watch the clips. So even if you don't watch clips, over time, people who do watch the Breakfast Club, and you know, DJ Envy, one of the co-hosts of the Breakfast Club, DJ Envy has positioned himself as a financial literacy expert, as a real estate expert. So these are not my words. These are his own words, right? This is what he says by himself, that he is a professional that over time, through giving these seminars, because they would have these seminars in New York and New Jersey, you know, like you go to a hotel and they're there telling
wealth in real estate. Oh, yes.
Yes. You watched them. Amber, you've seen?
No, actually, I have a friend of mine, because I went to college on the East Coast. And so I have a good friend of mine from college who, when Envy started this maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I remember she was going to like every single one of them.
Really?
And yes, so that's how I learned that he was even into that, is that she was posting them, posting, being present at them. And so yes, I'm not sure what came out of it. I don't know whether her real estate ventures have been successful or not, but that is when I first learned that he was a real estate expert. Mhm.
Okay, so then at least what I'm saying so far is not
It's true. Yes.
misinformation. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. So DJ Envy can get on this large platform, right? We're talking about millions of impressions every day that they have, from views to listens to people clipping, like all the things, right? So there's this huge platform, and he gets on there and he gets on this huge platform talking about a term that I want to ban from the English and any other languages: generational wealth. So he gets on here and he's talking about how to build generational wealth. And in his estimation, you do that through real estate, of course, right? Like you build generational wealth through real estate. And he's exposing all these people to this. He's also exposing people to his former business partner, Caesar Pena. So, Caesar Pena. So, Caesar basically is one of these people that does a couple things in real estate. So, he's either flipping and selling, or he's flipping and holding to work as a landlord. Those are like the plays that he was in. And so between the two of them, like, they're going through the real estate game, telling people, giving out. So, Amber, I'm sure you've heard the news. Caesar had gotten arrested, and
Mm-hmm.
he's got caught up on like millions of dollars in fraud for
Mm-hmm.
allegedly scamming people out of their
Mm-hmm.
money in these real estate
Mm-hmm.
schemes. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where my collaborator and I fight about the difference between mis and disinformation. In the case of DJ Envy, I want to believe that he was not using his, I might be naive. I want to believe that he was not using his large platform to purposefully take money from Black people and from Latinx people, Hispanic people. I want to believe that he was genuinely trying to help, and he got caught up in the mess himself. Now, I don't know. For Caesar, I feel like something else might be afoot. But for DJ Envy, I don't want to feel like that's what was happening. But in either case, the result is the same, right? So whether it was
Yes.
on purpose or not, you have these people who gave their life savings and were literally, allegedly, not literally, allegedly defrauded out of them. And I think that's so sad, from communities who can least afford that.
But let me also say this. This is part of maybe where you and I disagree about the difference between misinformation and disinformation. I agree that misinformation is not intentional, but I'm a lawyer. And if I stand up and
She
purport
gonna
to
tell us
give
that one more
you,
time today, y'all? Is she gonna tell us that one more
no,
time?
let me land the plane, Instagram
Is it a bar?
influencer. No. But if I'm a lawyer, but I get up and I stand up and start giving you advice and holding myself out as an expert in cardiology,
Yes,
and
yes.
I start talking to you about what you need to do to have a healthy heart, and giving you advice on what medication you should and should not take, and I start charging you a fee for that, and I say to you, hey, this is what I know about cardiology, and this is what you need to do. And even if my intention is not to cause harm, if I know I'm unqualified to render the advice I'm rendering in the context I'm rendering it, I still feel like that falls under the umbrella of disinformation. Because even if I don't know that what I'm saying will harm you, I know that I'm not qualified to say it.
But I think he thinks he's qualified. That's the thing. Like, he's gone on the record of saying, I've learned over time. Like, and he even, there's even this point where he talks about the fact that you can't just listen to anybody. Like, sometimes you have these celebrities who just try to sell you anything, right? And then, however many months or years later, his former business partner is caught up on charges. So that's where I'm still on the fence with it. Do you see the difference, or is it just me?
I think it's just you, because let me just also say this. So like, I can tell you, like, if you ask me, hey, what's in your real estate portfolio? Or hey, what's in your 401k? I can answer the question for you. But that doesn't make me have the same amount of experience or the same depth in financial literacy as you. And it's my responsibility to know that. So I can talk about it. It's sort of like what we were talking about in the group chat about Tabitha Brown. Like, Tabitha will talk to you, this is what I did, this is who I am. But she's not out here trying to tell you, do this because I did it. And so when somebody stands up and takes the mantle and say, do this because I did it, and I'm representing that I have some special skill set, even though I don't, that is a type of fraudulent behavior, in my opinion.
And that's why this financial literacy space to me is so harmful, because you have all of these people who are using this combination of celebrity culture with limited information, and it is aimed towards populations who cannot afford the risky behavior, because a lot of the things they peddle are risky, right? Real estate development and investment is risky and it's expensive. Then they talk on and off again, depending on how crypto is doing, about get into crypto now because like it's high and you should have some, or when it's low, it's like, well, you got to buy the crypto now before it goes up and you can't afford it. And it's like, crypto is volatile. It is volatile. I told you about how I got caught up in the zeitgeist and I was like, I'm gonna give me some crypto. And it was because before, for many years, I've been working in financial services, and even at the companies I work for, we talked a lot about crypto, right? So it wasn't like a new idea to me when I did this, but it was the first time when I could get crypto easily. I didn't have to buy a wallet. I didn't have to do all the other weird things. So I just bought some crypto, child. And Amber, it's only been, and this was 3 years ago, it's only been the past 2 months that my initial value is back, right? Like, so for 3 years, if I needed that money, your girl would have been ass out because like plummeted. And so it's just not a sound investment for people who can't afford to take the hit. But this is the kind of shit we get peddled. And that's why I'm so against it. Like, in practice, in the way that it is practiced today. Like, you heard about what Jay-Z was doing, right?
What now? I mean,
right. What specific way has Jay-Z been trying to hurt Black people?
And no. What was he doing with Big Boy?
What did he do?
Yeah, I'm like, what are we talking about now?
Okay. So you know Jay-Z from the Marcy Projects, right? Everybody know that. Okay. So he and his friend, Jack Dorsey, who used to be the owner and was the founder of Twitter, right?
Oh, God.
Got together and created something called the Bitcoin Academy. Okay. Now, I can't tell from their website, like I haven't seen any updates on their website since 2023. So I don't know if it's still going on. But at least back to 2022, the Bitcoin Academy he set up like this financial literacy institute at the Marcy Projects, where people would go, right. People would go and get information about, how to manage your money. Like, baby, I'm on public assistance in public housing. And like, you clearly know that I don't have enough to make the ends meet. Like, as somebody who used to live here, don't you know that we don't have enough? Not the point. Anyway, let's get back to Bitcoin Academy. So you go through, you do some of their classes, and like the end of, I can't remember if it was like let's say it was 6 weeks. I think it was more than 6 weeks, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of that. Let's say it's 6 weeks course. At the end of that, they gave you $1,000 in Bitcoin value, right? $1,000 in Bitcoin. Right. So you have not one, but 2 billionaires, okay? 2 billionaires going to a housing projects, giving people Bitcoin when they literally have the ability to transform those people's lives in so many different ways, not just with money, with employment opportunity, like they could have like been creative about how and that's the kind of shit we get sold as Black people. We get Bitcoin Academy.
And that's why that question of, okay, if you could meet anybody, if you could get $1 million or spend an hour with Jay-Z, what would you do? Bitch, give me my $1 million. Okay.
And he even said it. He went on the record and was like, do not choose to lunch with my Black ass. Please take the money.
Yeah. And let me tell y'all something I've learned just because, I've spent a little bit of time around wealthy people in my life. Um, Nobody wants to not put you on more than other wealthy people. Okay. Um, it is very
Say
true.
that
I'm
again in
just,
case people didn't get what you were saying, Amber.
nobody wants to not put you on more than other wealthy people. Like, ain't nobody out here inviting you to their private venture investment fund. Ain't nobody out here like that kind of stuff. Nobody talks about it. Like, the first time I got invited to a private venture pitch was it felt like I was going to really meet Jesus. Like the way I had to get there and how it was very hush hush. I had to sign an NDA. Like, nobody wants you to not make it more than the people who have made it, because how they make it is by having people
You
who
not
need the
make
piss poor job that that they give out. Like, it is no, that I kept thinking to myself, like, if I really thought this, and I will tell you this fund, it was ended up being a break-even thing. I didn't really make anything, but all I kept thinking was, wow, like, if I thought I had an opportunity where I could create all of this, well, why does it have to be a big secret? Because they don't want you to get on. So Jay-Z is out here patting himself on the back for giving people $1,000 instead of saying, let me come and show you how to invest in art. Or here, let me give you a job making a living wage so you can move out the projects. Or like, it's the information. But you walk away and I done gave you $1,000 in Bitcoin. It's probably worth $50 now. It's probably worth $50.
It's worth more now, but that's not the point. The point is you can't eat it. The point is, if you had the Bitcoin, what are you going to do with it? Because especially if I'm living in a housing project, I have some immediate needs that can't get taken care of. Like, can you help me to manage and handle some of those immediate needs? And also, if you want to do some other shit and give me some Bitcoin, fine. But don't let that be the thing that you come here to do. And that's why people always accuse me of being a hater. Everywhere I go, and people call me a hater.
And do you know how much time 6 weeks is for somebody who probably already ain't got a lot of time? Like, do you know how much time that is for $1,000 freaking dollars? Like,
some people were saying they didn't have childcare, right? Like, even if I wanted to go, I couldn't go. All the structural issues that we freaking talk about, they're trying to move, like, even remove some of those barriers so that people can take advantage of this information is what you want them to do. But it's just like throwing bread. It's like throwing bread on the street at people and letting them fight over the crumbs. And the shit is awful in my mind, Amber. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But Amber, I'm going to try to give you this financial literacy quiz real quick. So we decided, I was like, Amber, you want to take a financial literacy quiz? And I hope that the brokers.
Nobody loves a quiz more than Super Nerd.
Wait a second. Let me see. I don't even know how to share my screen, Amber. I'm old. I didn't, let me see. I don't want to do that. I want from my computer. We're going to see. I was trying to show it to you. Okay, here we go. Wait, it's not here. Okay, here we go. I think this is finally it. It's on the wrong window, Amber. How do I get it on the right window?
Child, don't ask me. Oh, okay. See,
here we go. Okay, here we go. So, question number 1.
Wait, can you make this bigger? I can't. Oh, wait a minute. I think I can. Wait. Oh, okay, yes.
Got it? You can see question number 1. I'll read it for you.
Okay.
Suppose you had $100 in a savings account and the interest rate was 2% per year. After 5 years, how much do you think you would have in the account if you left the money to grow? More than 102, exactly 102, less than 102?
More than 102.
Okay, ding, ding, ding. You are right, Amber, for question number 1. Question number 2. Imagine that the interest rate on your savings account was 1% per year and inflation was 2% per year. After 1 year, how much would you be able to buy with the money in this account? More than today, exactly the same, less than today?
Less than today.
Perfect. Also right. Buying a single company stock usually provides a safer return than a stock mutual fund. Is that true or false?
That is false.
Great. It does not. A 15-year mortgage typically requires higher monthly payments than a 30-year mortgage, but the total interest paid over the life of the loan will be less.
That is true.
That is very true. If the interest rates rise, what will typically happen to bond prices? They will rise, they will fall, they will stay the same.
Okay, if the interest rate goes up, the price of the bond goes up.
They actually fall. There's an inverse relationship between interest rates and bond prices. Okay.
Oh.
Next one. Suppose you owe $1,000 on a loan and the interest rate you are charged is 20% per year compounded annually. If you didn't pay anything off at this interest rate, how many years would it take for the amount you owe to double?
It would take, 20% per year.
Yes.
It would take at least 2 years, but less than 5 years.
Yes, that is right. Final question. Which of the following indicates the highest probability of getting a particular disease? There is a 1 in 20 chance of getting the disease. 2% of the population will get the disease. 2,500 out of every 1,000 people will get the disease.
Oh, shit. 1 in 20. 2% is 2 over 100. 25 over 1,000. Is it 1 in 20?
Yes, it is a
Okay.
1 in 20 chance of getting disease. Good job, Amber. Look at you.
That was stressful.
Huh?
That was stressful. Guys, I feel like a failure because I missed one. I didn't get 100.
Well, here's the thing, Amber. You did a better job than most people because actually only, and I don't have the exact statistic in my head memorized, but only like 60% of Americans are what we would call financially literate. So 6 out of 7 questions is great, but great according to this assessment. And let me take just 2 seconds to explain something and then we'll come back around. So this assessment was created by one of the academics who was associated with that initial President's Advisory Council on Financial Literacy. And since then, it started as 3 questions, then it went to 5, and it was like 7. And she's worked with some other collaborators on these questions. So these questions get used around the world. And the interesting thing for me is that depending on who you are, where you live, these questions to me may not have anything to do with finances. So even the question about probability, some would ask, is this question about probability? Does this relate to my financial literacy? Could or could not be. Also, you have questions about mortgage rates or mortgage interest and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In some places or some people may never want to own a home. So am I not financially literate because I don't understand how mortgage interest rates work?
Right.
Or
right.
is that just something that doesn't affect me? So you could be like, sure, generally, should you know these things? But I think the tools that we use to assess people are not good tools. Now we see that all over, right? You a lawyer, right? You done told us 5 times today. The tools that are used for you to gain entrance into law school and for you to become licensed as a lawyer, those tools probably don't measure what it takes to actually be good as a lawyer.
100%.
And so that's what I see here. And again, that's one of those other things that happen. They set these standards of this is how we tell if you're financially literate. But can you answer these bullshit ass questions? And so, but one of the academics who is responsible for this is an economist, and she has built a career going around the world and advocating for financial literacy and its importance. And I don't know how to, anyway, my nemesis.
Okay, well, can you tell us her name?
Why?
Because I want to know this.
Huh?
What is her name?
I can't tell you her name. My nemesis. built a career going around the world telling people that they need financial literacy. As an economist, she understands the macro economy better than 99% of people. And she knows that's unrealistic, but she does it any damn way.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, but I think you probably are saying there's a little bit of Kool-Aid you have to drink in order to be an academic, and so that doesn't shock me. That doesn't shock me at all. I don't know.
No, but then you have people like me who are working, like dealing with this uphill battle of and sounding crazy because it's like, again, you're such a hater. You don't even like financial education. It's like, no, that's not what I hate. What I hate is bad tests being able to tell people whether they're good or bad at something. That's what I don't like. What I don't like is the shame that gets wrapped up into this idea of people's financial literacy. That's what I don't like.
Or here's what I think about it. Like, okay, fine. I got 6 out of 7 right. But if I got 6 out of 7 wrong, does that mean that I don't deserve to be paid a living wage? Like, or does
Yes.
that mean that I don't deserve to be able to go to the doctor and pay for daycare and buy groceries without having to take out a payday loan? Like, I guess that's where the correlation, because what does being financially literate do for me if I am still constrained by a system that is hell bent on not allowing me to win? Do I just come into greater awareness that I don't have what I need? Because I think that's what the touting financial literacy is confusing for me, because for most people, yeah, for people like me and you, yeah, we can put those skills to use. We could put our money to work and we can make it work. But for the average everyday person, all being more literate does is make them realize how in the hole they are and how hopeless they are. Like,
Well, and this is the part about the work from an academic perspective that really drives me crazy, is because studies show, right? The research suggests that, to your question of what does it do to me? It says I basically, if I have higher levels of financial literacy, I have higher levels of financial competence. So that means I'm able to handle things better. So you have academics who attach value to this number. So it's not just this arbitrary, I got 6 out of 7, I got 5 out of 7. They're basically trying to create these arguments that because you are good in the area of financial literacy, then you're doing all of these other things well too. But they're not accounting for the structural issues that support you being able to do this. People with higher levels of financial literacy have higher levels of home ownership. Well, shit, yeah, probably because if you had to buy a house, you learned something in the damn process. Like, but that's what I'm saying. People with higher levels of education or higher levels of income because you get more exposure. Like, there are all these reasons, but they just try to make it seem like financial literacy is the cause and not just a byproduct of you just being around. If you have more money, then you're probably around people with more money or have access to more things. And because of that, that's why you know these things. So it's the desire that they have to create causation that drives me mad. And
I was about to say, yes, I feel like this is a little bit of academics playing in people's faces, because what I resent about this the most is this idea that if I am literate, there is this implication in the background that somehow my literacy will correlate to a financial intentionality and a financial discipline. And I think what they miss in that, and what I'm learning in my life, is that what underpins discipline is not literacy. It's hope. It's hope that whatever I tell myself no to today, there's a bigger yes coming down the pipeline, So I want a pool in my backyard right now, but and yes, technically I probably could get one.
Even the need for discipline, Amber, is not.
But what I'm saying is I can tell myself no, because I know that if I put that money to work in the market, or if I do something with it, there's a bigger yes coming. I'll get a pool in 3 years and I'll have money left. But when you don't have no hope that being literate or being disciplined about your finances is going to meaningfully change your life, it's very hard to feel inclined to do that, because there's a hopelessness that it does not matter how much you do, how much you save, how much literacy you attain, you're never going to get out of the hole. Well, it's kind of like what we talked about with evicted. That's why somebody might feel inclined to take their food stamps and go buy a lobster instead of buying 20 packs of ramen noodles, because there's nothing that's going to change about my life. So I might as well get one thing I want right now. You know?
Well, this is what I always think of when you have these sorts of solutions given to people, is that show, and I can never remember the name, but Kerry Washington. Y'all don't do too much on Kerry Washington. I like Kerry Washington. And she was in that show, and she was like, and it was this very famous white woman actress.
Oh, Little Fires Everywhere.
Little Fires Everywhere. Thank you.
Yes.
And
yes.
White woman in the face, and she goes, "You didn't make good choices. You had good choices." And I said, "I know that's right, Kerry Washington." And that's what happened here. You have people who end up like Amber getting a 6 on a financial literacy assessment, right? And it's because the bitch had a lot of good choices, right?
That's true. That's true.
People from the Marcy projects who didn't have a lot of good choices and may not make a 6. And this raggedy country tries to make them feel bad for that, tries to have them take responsibility. And then, like we've said, you have all of these other bad actors who pile on. And what you get is, yes, you end up with a lot of people who don't have hope. And there is a reason for the hopelessness, because it comes from all sides. Anyway, I don't have nothing else to say, Amber.
I don't, but I do want to say one thing, though, that I hope doesn't get lost in this, though, is do the best you can with what you got. You know, do the best you
can. We
can.
always do that. You don't have to tell Black people to do that. That's the thing. Like, if you want to talk about financially literate, we the ones.
But you're right. You're right. But in this social media era where people are encouraged to front and stunt and try to live outside of their means, I feel like this whole stunting culture is very real these days.
Her father.
I'm not. I'm telling you that is an industrial complex now. That is a subculture of the internet. People are profiting off of selling folks images on the internet and trying to encourage people to go out here. You need to be on an island. You need to be on vacation. You need to have Louboutins on every day. Can't nobody wear Louboutins every day but people who had trust and people who had money the day they were born. Anybody who is earning money by the sweat of their brows or with the work of their hands cannot afford to do that shit every day. But this stunting culture on Instagram tells you that if you work, you need to be doing all of that. And all I'm saying is, don't get wookied out here by these people who be lying on the internet. Okay? You know, so either get you some fake ones, or if you want some boosted ones, send me a DM and I can tell you where my cousin go. But don't be out here trying to keep up with these people, because the math is not math. Do the best you can with what you got.
Which we always do. And we've been doing for generations. You know that. But what homework do you have for the people? You had the people take the assessment? What you do?
I was about to say.
You already gave the answers. You can't take the test. They already know the answers.
Oh, damn. So they don't got another one?
No.
Oh. Okay.
You know the consistency of the data. You give the same test over and over and over.
I still want y'all to take it. Y'all ain't gonna remember what I said, because I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it because I'm very curious to see what other people think about it. Because under pressure, I was feeling a little hot on my neck. Okay, so I want y'all to take the assessment, and I think we need to talk about it. We need to have a conversation online and tell us what your score is if you feel so inclined, and share it with a friend or two. And let's have a conversation about our financial literacy. And also, of course, you need to get caught up. You need to get caught up.
Amber, it's almost the end of the semester, and you still telling people to get caught up.
First of all,
people coming to your office hours with a 28 score and asking you how they can get. Baby, it's too late. It's too late.
It's not. That's why people call her a hater. It's not too late. It's not too late. You get caught up. Okay.
Yes.
God is able. God is able.
For sure.
Okay.
And Y'all, we know that there are people all over this world trying to convince us that the reason we're broke is because we don't know how to spend the 24 hours that God gave us. But if you don't learn anything from Brokish, let it be that we are broke because the United States and the world are powered by the fact that we are broke, right? Like that's where the money comes from, us being broke. So remember that this country has always required us to be unpaid or improperly paid, unfairly paid. And we can't overcome that history and that legacy by filing the LLC paperwork. We just can't do it. So the best that we can do is understand that this stuff is complex on purpose and figure out how we can do the best with what we have. Thanks for tuning in and look forward to catching up with you on the next episode of Brokish.
All right, good people. Thanks for listening to Brokish. For more episodes, visit us at brokish.com or subscribe, and Brokish will get direct deposited into your favorite podcast app on the 1st and 15th. Share Brokish with your friends and join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Music for Brokish is Come Get Some by Blank and Kit. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.
They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You can play any and every position. Coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And oh my goodness, I see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today.